What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall markets. I'm going to talk about some very key levels to watch for on Tesla and what's going on with the PCE data that just came out. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. The offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with this market. So, looking at the market right now, you guys can see that we're getting a reaction to PCE. For now, the market's somewhat in the green. However, just know that we've we've seen this many times where for the last 6 days, the market starts off green, then it turns red, it dumps, starts off green, then dumps, and this happens 6 days in a row. So I'd be very careful, despite the fact that we got an initial bullish reaction. This could be led by a rug pull. So keep that in mind. As far as Tesla's going, we're trying to fight at this 280 area. We'll have to see if Tesla holds this gap support. If not, I'm going to be looking at this resistance becoming support around this like 270 area. And then we also happen to have, so first there's 275, and if that fails us, I'm looking for like 270, then all the way down to that gap fill to 250. Those are basically going to be your supports. So keep that in mind. That's what I'm essentially eyeing for now. There's a lot of news coming out that Tesla's deliveries are going to come short. This is leading to a lot of fear, especially considering the fact that their Chinese sales were down 7% from a year ago. In Europe, they're down 56% in the 5 major European countries. There's even talk about how the Australian sales are down. So I'm just seeing lots of negative news about that. GLJ research basically came out and they're saying that Tesla's deliveries will be between 360 and 370,000 units. That is below the consensus of 426,000. Tesla's going to come very short, according to them. Not the best of news. Also, for 2024, right, from last year in Q1, they did about 386,000 deliveries. They think it's going to be even less than that. GLJ is saying to sell your Tesla shares. That's what they've been saying. So that's what I'm seeing on headlines. I'm not trying to say they're right or wrong. This is just what headlines are saying. It's not the best of news for Tesla. Tesla's also seeking approval for its ride hailing services in California. This is a key step, if anything, and I think that's a good piece of news, but it's not really enough to help the share price quite yet. So for now, Tesla remains bearish despite this. We had the PCE data that came out. This is what the chart looks like, showing that inflation was a little bit flat. This is a different measure of inflation that the Fed uses, and right now it's looking a little bit more flat. So core PCE month over month was at 0.3%, a slight increase compared to before, but aligned with expectations. Personal income was, this is showing that this is actually above expectations, so not bad, but spending is still very weak. So very weak amounts of spending so far. Not the best of news. Then besides that, we have PCE for all items month over month at 0.3%, aligned with expectations. PCE year over year at 2.5%, aligned with expectations. And then we had core PCE at 2.6%, aligned with expectations. So all the data is aligned with expectations. We do have the Chicago PMI at 9:45 a.m. So look for some volatility then. But everything's aligned with expectations except for personal spending. This is well below expectations. So keep that in mind. So far, the data I would say is a little bit more positive, but there's no guarantees yet with all the tariffs going on. You still want to be very careful. Now, as far as the market goes, we have about 620 plus thousand of these calls expiring. And we have over 1.6 million puts expiring for a 2.62 put to call ratio. And then there's not really a whole lot else that's going on. There's been a lot of talk about Trump's tariffs that I'm seeing on the news. And besides that, there's nothing else that's just too crazy. So that's what I'm seeing for now. For earnings, we had Fubo TV. I'm not going to talk about the specific details, but that's what I'm seeing. So, anyways, let's talk about the charts. Looking at Tesla, let's just remove all indicators besides our EMAs. And you guys could see lower highs, lower lows over and over again. Our EMAs are starting to slope downwards, which is not the best of signs. And on top of that, we are looking like we've broken out of this channel to the downside. So I'm looking for support at 275 and then 270 to see if that zone holds. If 270 fails us, we have a gap to fill all the way down towards 250. We look bearish. We're watching to see if we could hold 280 at the very least. There is some support there. There are buyers who are trying to defend it, but I think we will eventually fill this gap, whether we get some kind of small bounce with PCE or not. The main resistance is going to be at 302, but keep in mind, guys, we still look bearish on Tesla, whether we get some kind of small bounce or not, or if we try to hold to 280 for the time being, we will eventually hit 275, and then whether that holds or not, we're still going to be dipping to 250 if that fails us. So I do anticipate more downside. Even if we get a small bounce with PCE, we still look bearish. Now, I do have a problem with SPY. So here's the thing about SPY, okay? When you zoom out, just like this, notice the trend, okay? We're going to ignore all these lines and indicators. We basically had, I think it was Friday of last week, we gapped up, then dumped. Then we gapped up on Monday, then we dumped. We pushed a little bit on Tuesday, then we dumped. Wednesday, we pushed and dumped. Thursday, we pushed and dumped. Friday, we pushed and dumped. And today, we're pushing upwards, but we're forming a gap, which makes me suspect there's going to be some kind of dump move coming again. So that's why you're going to be watching some very, very key levels. So let me just close some of these lines, make this a little bit less messy. Sorry about that, guys. It's very simple, okay? If SPY loses 585, I think we easily dump to about 582, if not 580. That's going to be a big support. We'll see if that holds. If not, 575 is next. So if 585 fails us, I do expect us to dip to the low 580s, which is where this trend line of support happens to be. And we'll see if we bounce off that, the low 580 area. If not 575, that's going to be our next support zone. If we hold 585, we're looking for a bounce back up to 590, but I'm seeing a move like this where we like gap up, then we dip back down to either 585, and we'll have to see if we bounce up to like 590. If not, we're looking for a dump all the way down towards 580, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get from here. So I'm watching this. I think 585 is looking like our next support. We'll have to see if that holds or not. I do think we're going to be testing that for a small dip, just like we did every day for the past 6 days. We gap up, then dump as the day goes on. So look for some dumpy move as we open, and we'll see if 585 holds. If not, look for a bigger decline for now, and then we'll see if we bounce off these supports later on. But that's the move I'm anticipating. At least for now, we're still looking kind of weak. So just keep that in mind. With the QQQ, same thing is going on. We're barely holding 500. I do want to call out that we have supported 500, but if that fails us, I'm looking for this like 494 area to 492, which is where we have that gap to fill. The same thing as SPY. We basically gap up, dump, gap up, dump, gap up, dump, push, then dump, push, then dump. Today we pushed a little bit. We're actually still very flat. So this is weaker than SPY. Watch 500. We got to hold 500. This is going to be a big support. If it does not hold us, I could be seeing us come all the way down towards like 494. So not the best of news for the QQQ. If 500 holds, we could try to bounce for 502. Then if that breaks, we're looking for 506. But if 500 fails us, we're looking for a dump. We're still looking kind of weak right now. So just keep that in mind. For the Russell 2000, we're technically on a downtrend right here. We're trying to bounce, but we're just, barely at the support area. We're making lower highs and lower lows for now. We have to see if we can try to bounce around this like support right here. So we'll see how this goes. If we hold 211, we're looking for a pushback up to about 214. And if we lose support right here, we're looking for a dump all the way down to 210. We are flat right now, and every time we've seen some kind of rebound move, it's just led to a sell-off. So if we can't hold 212, I do anticipate we're going to be dipping even lower. If you want to see this thing bounce, I want to see it reclaim at least like 214. If we get back above that, look for some attempts to bounce. But as of right now, we're not doing that. We still look a bit more bearish. ES is on a downtrend. I'm going to close these wedges. The wedges failed, if anything. We're making lower highs and lower lows. We need to reclaim at least 5,900 to see some hope for a bounce. This might dip a little bit more close to where this trend line happens to be. 5850 or below could be coming before we see some kind of like rebound attempt. Might be a bit more downside that's coming. Same thing with NQ, looking kind of weak right here. We have to see if we can hold 20,500. If not, we're looking for a bigger dip to 20,400 or below. So we could kind of push a little bit. And then if we get a rejection, we're looking for a move back down. So watch that very closely. Bitcoin is trying to rebound after a big dump. We're going to be watching to see how it tests around 84,000, but still looks kind of lackluster. Nvidia is on a downtrend. We're losing 120. So if we can't get back above that, we're going to likely continue to decline. Our target is going to be down towards like 114. This looks like a head and shoulders now, and the full measured move would be we push and then start dipping towards 114 or below. So there's going to be that risk of downside. Tesla, like I said, it's barely holding 280. So we'll see if we get some kind of rebound here if we shuffle a bit. But we do have that gap to fill, and there's still a future downside coming, even if we do shuffle around 280. Looking at Apple, we're looking bearish. Got a rejection right over here as well. We have to reclaim 238 to 240. Otherwise, we favor a move down towards like 234, eventually 232. For other pieces of news, AMD is on a downtrend. We're watching to see if 100 holds. If not going to be a good sign. There might be some kind of rebound move before it continues to dip. 100 is a psychological support, but it's still looking weak. Coin gap down pretty hard. I don't know. I don't think we fully filled this gap. I think we tried to do that. Might be a small bounce in coin to fill this gap above, and then we'll see if we make a lower high here. So look for an attempt for 210, and we'll see what the reaction is. Amazon needs to get back above 215 to bounce. It might push a bit, but then we're watching this wick down here. Might push before it dips to about 204. Meta is barely holding support at 658. We got to hold that. If that fails us, we could be dipping all the way down to about 638 or so. So watch that very closely. Microsoft's on a bit of a downtrend, so watch that closely as well, just to see if we rebound. We could try to get to about 395, and we'll see what the reaction is. So give this some time, especially as we have the support right here. So we'll see how it goes. And then Google, it's technically on a downtrend. We'll have to see if we get some kind of rebound back up towards this imbalance around 172.5, and then we'll see if we reject. So just keep that in mind. The VIX, it remains elevated. We're at resistance, but there's no sign of rejection yet. So for now, the market is still in a critical place. Tesla has support around this 280 area. We'll have to see if this holds temporarily. Let's see if we get some kind of small bounce off this or not. But if we don't, like I said before, whether we get the bounce or not, we still look bearish. The trend is still in favor of bears. Unless we reclaim 302 to really start bouncing, we have to get back above 302 to see a temporary bounce. Otherwise, this might just be a small move up before we continue to decline. So keep that in mind, guys. Tesla remains bearish. Anyways, that's it for this one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.